Hi, this is Christy with Sapphire Skies Farm, and today I want to talk to you about dun 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 Luffa. What? Luffa? I thought it grew in the ocean. Nope. I don't know where this crazy idea came from that Luffa comes from the ocean. Well, it is a sponge, or we use it as a sponge. It is actually in the gourd family. So let me show you what these look like when they're growing on the plant. All right, so here are a few loofah that are growing on the vine. This is my loofah that grew last year, and they got so large, I was really surprised at how big they could get. So you can see here there's a light one and a dark one. I mean, I just got one seed packet that said loofah, and these are the ones that came from it. So it looks like two varieties, and I'm not sure what causes one to be one way or the other way. If it's the same varieties, different varieties, I don't know. Sorry, wish I knew so I could share, but they grew really well. And as you can see here, they kind of resemble like something that looks like a squash family, the way the leaves are formed, and also the way they have the little tendrils that curl down. Here you go, right here. This is the tendril. So these are what help it to grow up and vine. Sometimes you might have to help those little tendrils catch on to whatever you're trying to have them grow up, but they're really quite the coolest little things to find. These loofah right here, I actually have them growing as a privacy hedge to block me from the road. So when people drive by my house, this is all they can see. It's just this huge hedge of loofah. It's not actually a hedge, but it appears to be a hedge from the road. It's just vining loofah up on a fence. Here's a few more loofah that are growing. And they're doing really good. So these are also, these pictures I've shown you so far are the ones from last year. And so I grow in San Diego, California, and so I have a really long grow season. And this past year, we actually only got one night where it got below freezing. And so I had a really long grow season last year. I was still pulling loofahs off in November and December, and they were doing well. We didn't actually get our first freeze until February, or only freeze. And so I got kind of a longer season than most people will. So if you're interested in growing loofah, you need to start really early if you don't have a long grow season like San Diego does. Okay, so here on my concrete, I thought I would show you what loofah can look like. So if you harvest really early, this is what the inside can look like. But if you leave it on till it dries out all the way, it actually darkens up the loofah a little bit. I'm not really sure why it does that, but that was my experience with them. And then the inside of the loofah can either have 4 holes like this, or 3 like that. Once again, I haven't really figured out if it was from the 2 different colored ones. I'm sorry, I should have paid more attention last year, but by the time they dry, they all look the same, right? Here I have some Loofah seedlings. These were volunteers. I didn't plant these. I'm gonna go ahead and let them grow and see how they do. I will thin them out once they get to be a little bit bigger and keep the strongest looking ones, but it does still, even at this stage, kind of resemble like a squash or a cucumber. The leaves are similar, not exactly the same, but yeah. Do you want to see what the seeds look like? They are not similar to squashes or cucumbers. They're very unique in the way they look. So here are all the seeds that I just took out of loofah. So these light ones here, these will not actually germinate. They're from a immature loofah. But these dark ones here, these are all, see there's a few in there that won't germinate, but they're all from loofah. And when they dry out, these little parts come off and they just blow away. So you have to let them dry out and have that part come off. If you get it in the mail and it still has that part attached, you're gonna wanna make sure you take it off. But there you go, there's a close-up of what a loofah seed looks like. And to get them to germinate, you actually let them soak in water for 24 hours before you plant them. It gives them a better chance at actually sprouting. So let's go take a look at a sprout that I grew from seeds on purpose. Okay, so I'm outside and I'm out by my greenhouse. And I just wanted to share before I show you what it looks like that I always start in seed trays with a potting mix that is for starting seeds, because that's what they're designed for. It's got the right elements to keep seeds moisture level at the right moisture. And it's just really good for getting good germination rates. But after they sprout, then you want to put it in better soil so that they can grow better. So let me show you what those two examples look like. Okay, so these are my seed trays. I just fill them up with part peat moss, part potting soil. Sorry, that's my geese in the background. And when they first pop up, it's just these two leaves, like you can see on the right, where with that one actually looks like it has just a little bit of the first true leaves coming through. But here you can see the first two true leaves. And by the time they actually get to this stage, they can really go in the ground if you know you don't have a lot of bug problems. So usually I would up pot once I get my first two true leaves, and it looks like I just didn't get to these ones in time, but they'll do better if they get up potted sooner. Okay, so these are the ones that I have up potted, and they have now grown 4 leaves, and these ones I'm actually ready to put in the ground right now. That is on my long list of to-dos for today. So these ones, it looks like it needs a little bit more nitrogen. See the yellowing of the leaves? And I have done 0 bug control this year, besides trying to use natural elements like praying mantises and ducks and chickens and whatever. So I do have a little bit of bug damage, but it will survive that. And so I'm okay with a little bit of bug damage. It actually will make my plant a little bit stronger. I don't know why it does that, but that's the way it is. So these 2 are ready to go in the ground. I have a few more that will also go in today. Now, keep in mind that I planted those seeds when it was recommended for my area to plant those seeds. But because my area did not get more than 1 night of freeze, I have a few plants that survived that 1 night of freeze. So let me go ahead and show you what those look like. I will say that the reason why they survived that night of freeze is because their soil is very heavily mulched. So their roots didn't all freeze. So that makes a big difference. But I didn't think they'd survive. So there's the honesty there, right? Okay, I'm just walking in my garden. And this is so funny. This is a volunteer pumpkin that I have here. It's so big. I didn't plant it, I haven't watered it, and it's taking over my garden fence. And the only reason why I'm showing you that is so you can see the shape of the leaves is kind of similar. See that shape? And they also get male and female flowers like a squash do, these loofahs. Okay, so see how the leaves are kind of similar, but they're a little more pointy. Let me see. So this is the plant right here. This is one of the 2 that survived that freeze, okay? And so usually my seeds would only be fresh seeds right now. Fresh seedlings right now. But we have a lot going on in here. And so what I'm actually looking for in here is to see if there's any male or female leaves. So these leaves that are behind here, these are the leaves that showed up like in January and February. They didn't do very well. They didn't get very big. Loofah really prefers a lot of heat. And so it was still pretty cold in January and February, even March. But once my temperatures started warming up, then the plant really started to thrive, okay? But I'm still not really seeing any male or female flowers yet on this. I can see where they're coming, but they're not here yet. This is gonna be your male flower, and this is gonna be your female flower. And let me tell you how I know that, because it's so tiny, it's hard to tell, but This flower here, you can see this will become the loofah, and this will be the little flower right here on the very tip. Very phallus shaped. And then this will be the male flower, and it will be like male flower, male flower, male flower, and it will just grow up. I'm coming back to this picture because if you look at the top ridge line of that vine along the fence, you can see little stick looking things poking up with little flowers on top. That's what I'm talking about. It becomes flower after flower after flower after flower after flower of male flowers that continue to grow along that same line there. Trying to zoom in here so you can see it. It's not far enough in the season right now for me to really be able to show you this in a live picture, but see this part here. This was flower after flower after flower going all the way up. The flower head dies off after the flower dies, but it continues to produce more male flowers. So you really want to make sure you don't accidentally knock those flowers off as they're growing, because those will continue to be the male flowers to fertilize the female flowers as time goes by. Here's an example of a female flower before it opens. You can actually see on the base where the loofah will form. This is what the actual flower looks like once it has opened. And then this is what the male blossom will actually look like once it's opened up. So each plant will have both male and female flowers. There are plants out there that exist that are just male or just female, but this, for loofah, one plant can produce loofah. You don't have to have a different plant to be able to create loofah. They'll pollinate from their own male flowers to the female flowers. You just need to make sure you have something to pollinate them. You can also self-pollinate. If I had fresh flowers right now, I could show you how to do that, but I don't have those right now. So maybe I'll come back to that for you. So I really love the tendrils. So let me give you a look at what these tendrils look like. Okay, so these are the tendrils, and they will curlicue their way up. And these, they start out like this, and then they'll curl around, and they will like loop on and grab onto whatever they can to support themselves growing up. So I often come through and like help them find what they need to create the look that I'm going for. Like ideally, this would not be growing all along the floor. It would be growing all up along here. Wouldn't that be so beautiful if I just had loofah dripping down this trellis? Oh. This is the other side of it. I imagine that I will by the time the summer is over and we get into fall. But for now, it's here. So let's go to the front yard. That's where I have my other loofah, and let's see if it has any flowers yet. I doubt that it will, since these two have been growing for the same amount of time and went through the same winter, but it's worth taking a look. Before I head out, I just want to show you what it's been growing in. This was a straw bale last year when I planted this loofah. It's really compacted down. You can see the remnants of the straw growing around it, right? Last year I had some melons growing in this bed and some green beans, and then over the winter I actually had potatoes in this bale. And so that's why you see a little bit of soil on top, because you mound over potatoes. And now I'm growing part of my Three Sisters garden in this bale. But the loofah is still doing well. And so when I said that it was very heavily mulched this winter, I mean it had a full straw bale on top of its roots. And then a lot of the plant is growing down into the soil. And even around it, I have at least 3 inches of this mulch all the way around. And so its roots are really protected from the extreme cold that came this past winter. And like I've already said, it was just one night. So I can't guarantee that anywhere else in the country they would get a loofah that would overwinter, even in other countries, I guess. So I'm just sharing with you my experience, because that's what I have, right? Okay, I'm in the front yard, just looking at that one that also overwintered out front. So last year this had grown all the way up and covered this whole area, but not in May. It was just little baby seedlings. Look what I just found. How dare you? Sorry, I have to take that guy out. No place for you in my garden. Okay, so here you can see the leaves are doing really well. They're really healthy. These are the leaves from overwinter. It doesn't really like those cold nights, you know? More tendrils and stuff. But once again, I'm not really seeing any open flowers yet. Here I have a couple Loofa that just stayed on over the winter. I probably had 200 Loofa, I want to guess, that I grew last year. It's a lot. Oh, look what I found. An unopened Loofa flower. So this is the female. Any males nearby? No males. A grapevine growing in the middle. I wasn't sure how big the Loofa would get last year, so I had planted my grape here and my Loofa over there, and yeah, definitely the Loofa outgrew the grapes. It's been amazing. So you can see here's a few of my grapes here, and then I still have more Loofa growing all along here. Oh, and we're getting a whole bunch of these female flowers out on this side. So they haven't opened yet, but that's where they'll come out of, and there's where the males will come from. See that? And that will get really long and pollinate. And then I'll end up with more of these guys. So Loofa actually doesn't pull off the stem very well without breaking the plant. You have to actually cut it. So that's kind of why these are out here. I mean, like I said, I had harvested so many that I just wanted to see what they would be like if I let them overwinter on the vine. So I'm gonna cut some of these off and show you how to peel them and what they look like on the inside. 2 more there, 1 more there, among the wild grass. Let me go grab some scissors. All right, so I was ready to come out here yesterday and finish this video, and my eye doctor finally let me know that my new glasses came in. Ah, so exciting. So I paused my video making, and I'm kind of glad I did, because one of my female Loofah flowers, what happened? Do you know? Did I tell you? It opened up! So let's go show them what an opened up Loofah flower looks like on our vine. And this is Levi. He wants to come and be a part of our video today. Okay, Levi, what did you find?
A female Loofah flower.
Female Loofah flower. Shall we zoom in?
Mm-hmm.
Da, 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 da. Now show them the side. Okay, so this is where once it's pollinated here, this is where the part will become a Loofah. Our very first one. Totally worth waiting 1 day, right?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Levi, here you go. Scissors. Can you reach that?
Yep.
Okay, hold one side so it doesn't fall. Snip it. Too tricky, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Mom will come do it.
But I'm still starting to get it.
See what I was saying earlier? It's just too strong to just rip it off like you would be able to twist like a cucumber. You really need some scissors or pruning shear type things to trim it. Dun, 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 dun. All right, put it in. Okay, I'm gonna grab the rest. Okay, so these are the Loofah that I let overwinter on the vine, and I'm gonna guess that the inside of them is gonna be really dark, and maybe I won't even want to keep these ones. I'm not really sure. So what I think I'll do is I'll do 2 separate buckets with some that were overwintered on the vine and some that I pulled off before winter came. so we can take a look and see really just what the difference in the look is of the loofah either way. And then I don't have any that are fresh that have just barely started to brown out. That's really the kind that I prefer to pick. If it's green and it's just starting to turn brown, that's really my favorite way to pick the loofah. But that will come in a couple months, so we'll have to come back and do another video at that time, okay? Okay, so here you can see these are the ones that we just pulled off. See how like very dull out they look. And then these here are the ones that I pulled off and they did not stay on over the winter. So they're like a lot more brown, with some golden hues to it, as opposed to this like really grayed out look. So we'll see how they look once they are harvested. We're gonna fill up these 2 buckets here. Levi, you ready to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, put the hose in. We're gonna fill these buckets and squish all the loofah in and show how to remove the outer husk. I guess it's called the husk. All right, Levi, so while those are filling up, would you like to show them what the seeds sound like inside of one of these?
Yeah.
Okay, pick one that has the whole part. Yep, there we go. So let's look at the bottom. So some of these, the bottom like opened up while it was on the vine and dropped all of their seeds. That's how they spread their seeds. Okay, shake it, Levi. Sounds kind of like a rain stick, right? So let's get some of those seeds out before we put them in the bucket, okay?
Or a baby rattle.
Or a baby rattle, yeah. So every loofah has like a million seeds inside. I would guess probably, I don't know, maybe 40. It's really impressive how many seeds they produce. So we're gonna have a bucket that's just empty that you can see how many seeds come out of this loofah that Levi's opening right now. All right, Levi, go ahead and peel that bottom off. You got it? Okay. There's our bucket. Tip it over, shake it. Keep those seeds inside there. Oh no, turn it over. How many seeds do you think are inside?
About 100.
About 100. So, shake them, shake them, shake them. So many seeds. So I usually like stick my leg up against the side and like.
Whoa, 100.
It's so many, right?
Yeah.
Okay, give it a good shake. Come on. Bang the side of it against your hand. Oh, they're flying everywhere. Oh, that's a little too aggressive. We don't want to break the loofah. Okay, so this is how I end up with loofah that grow as weeds along this area right here. And while we put the cattle panel up, we're just gonna let them grow up. All right, Levi, you think there's enough seeds out of there yet?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so this is what it looks like on that view there. You can already see the different holes inside. All right, Levi, you want to stick this one in there?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do that for all of the loofah that are the more golden loofah, and we'll stick them all in that bucket and show you once they're all in there. And then we'll show you what's inside the loofah that we let stay out on the vine over winter, okay? Okay, so these are all the seeds and the bottoms from all those loofahs we just did. So many seeds from each loofah. Oh, except for one that was empty.
No, this one.
Oh. Okay, so they're all floating on top. Loofah are hollow, so they won't naturally go under. So Levi, go ahead and push them all under for us, would ya?
Okay. That's a little tiny one. Alright.
Push them all under, all of them. Push them all under.
I'm just starting with the little one.
Okay. Nice, bud. I'm gonna turn that other water off really quick. Okay, grab the other ones, bud.
Okay.
Can you try to push like all 4 of those other ones down at the same time?
Sure.
There we go. That's what I was talking about. All right, so he's getting them all pushed under. Now we're gonna let those soak. As long as there's water inside of them, they'll loosen up really easily. All right, so now we're gonna grab these ones. And so most of these ones probably, actually they didn't drop their seeds. I thought they were gonna drop their seeds. I think that they would all open up on there, but I guess not. Go ahead and crack them open. See, the bottom just comes off just that easy. Oh, that's what I thought would happen. Yeah, there was bugs inside. They found some little hole that they could go in and hung out in there. These ones, I'm just gonna stick them in the bucket as soon as I take the bottoms off. Because I don't think I'll save these seeds.
What about bugs?
Then the bugs will just have to float out. Yeah, I'm gonna guess these are all moldy inside because they didn't get any air. Ugh. Earwigs are like the bane of my existence. I hate them. Sorry, earwig. No place for you in my garden. Oh, this one was already open, so that one might be okay. What do you think, Levi?
Yeah. Especially this one.
All right, these ones feel like they're soft enough. Levi found this giant mammoth one. You gonna peel it for us? Okay, show us how easy it is to peel it. So last summer, this is what my kids did on really hot days. They wanted to play in the water, and I said, well, if you want to play in the water, you got to peel some loofah. And you guys had fun doing it, huh? Will you throw your scraps into our basket again, Levi? Our peels?
Mom.
Into this one here. Oh, there you go, bud. Nice. Oh, it's so big and beautiful. Look at that.
I wonder if it will have 5 holes.
You think it'll have 5 holes? Maybe just 4 really big ones.
Maybe just 4 and a tiny bit of a hole.
Ta-da! What does it look like inside? But yeah, I'm just gonna have 4. So we usually chop off this bottom like inch and use that for soaps, and then cut this into parts for shower scrubbers or decoration. Shower scrubbers or kitchen scrubbers. This guy is huge. All right, and then I stick them actually back in here to soak a little bit more because there usually is some sort of like sticky substance on them still, and I like to let that soak out. And I'll even give them a good squirt after I peel them all. I'm gonna peel a bunch. So like these ones have only really been sitting for what? You think a couple minutes, Levi?
Yeah.
So even just sitting in here like a minute or 2, they just soften right up and just peel right off. And all this part we just compost and turn it into nice good soil for our growing season for the next season. These are all looking really nice. So usually you can see like this is where it had mostly shade, and then this side is where it had mostly sun. This is just naturally how loofahs are. It's pretty normal. That's why I do prefer to pull them before they're even at this stage where they're solid brown. I like a little bit of green still to them. They don't seem to have quite as much of that sun burn. I guess it would be sunburn. Ah, look at this one has like 2 little holes on the side. All right, so that's that batch of loofah. And I'm just gonna let these all sit while we do the other ones. Go ahead and turn that off, Levi. So gross. There are so many pincher bugs. Oh, and a spider. Sorry, little spider. Save you. You have a place in my garden. Those guys do not.
Pincher bug again. A real one this time.
On your back?
On my neck.
Ooh. They like Levi today. I'm sorry, Levi. They keep trying to get him.
Yeah. To my hair.
All right. Oh my gosh, so gross. Oh, we found where the pincher bugs like to live. All right, note to self, don't leave those out next year. Yuck. Oh, that is the grossest thing.
Ah, another one.
On you?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, take your shirt off.
Okay. Oh.
All right, so we've learned something very valuable today. Get those things off. Don't leave them on. That is just the most disgusting thing. So now I need to take care of some pincher bugs. Okay, so I peeled all those loofah, and there's so many earwigs in there. It's just disgusting. And I killed a bunch of them, but there's still some floating in there. And I don't really have a solution for this yet, but I will come up with one. But let's just take a look side by side of what the ones that I pulled off before winter really hit, and the ones that, oh, I think there's one on my back. Ah, look at my shirt. Ah! All right, let's look at a side by side of these two buckets of loofah. Okay, so these are the ones that were like crawling with bugs. So the ones that didn't have a whole lot of bugs inside of them, they're like just totally gross. This just got on there from floating in the water, but yeah, they're really moldy and gross. You want to pick them before they really overwinter, and preferably it's best if you actually peel them before they sit all winter, okay? The sooner you peel them, I think the better they really work out. This is one that was full of those earwigs. Oh, it's so gross. Ugh. I don't even want to worry about that anymore. These are all going to be trash for us. There's really no purpose in keeping those ones. These ones look really good. So this is really the only one I see that has like a teeny bit of mold on it. So what we'll do is we'll just cut and keep this section and that section. But the rest of them are looking really, really great. You can see that the water's getting kind of cloudy because the dried out parts are in there. Yeah.
I think we should try to compost the ones full of pincher bugs.
Yeah, that's true. We can turn these into compost. I probably will still try to squish all those pincher bugs so they don't leave any eggs in our compost, because we don't want more of those. Will you squish those, bud? All right. So we're going to leave these in maybe for another like 20 minutes and then hose them off and let them air dry, and they'll be ready to go. Here's a picture of me peeling a loofah that was still a tiny bit green, kind of on the yellow side, but not quite brown. And you can see how the inside just really, it looks a lot brighter. And so I feel like those are much more marketable and enjoyable to have the really bright ones like this. So if you're growing your own loofah, I would really recommend that you pull them off much earlier than I did with these last few that you just saw. I probably already have used 150, so I had about 50 left, and that's what I've used for the video up until this point. But this is the much more desirable stage to pull your loofah. Anytime I'm working on any project, my 3 oldest kids like to jump in and help out. Wouldn't guarantee that they're always helping, but you know, they try. In this picture, we are trying to get all the extra little seeds out that stayed inside the loofah, because they don't all come out while we're trying to get them out. So sometimes we have to pick some out with the tweezers, and by sometimes I mean quite often. Here's the inside of that same loofah that I had shown you earlier, where it's still kind of greeny inside. This is really the best stage to pull your loofah, in my opinion, off of the vine, where it's still kind of yellow on the outside and a little tiny bit green on the inside. If you pull it too early, it'll be dense and be much more vegetable-like. You want to make sure it's still dried out on the inside, and you can kind of feel the difference by lifting them up off the vine. When they're really heavy, you know they're not ready yet. When they start to lighten up, then you know that they are starting to dry out and are about ready to turn into scrubbers. Here's our setup when we're chopping and we're trying to get all the seeds out and we're putting the strings on loofahs. Our dining room table becomes quite the loofah mess. This was my display at Christmas time. I made like a Christmas tree loofah when I was selling at craft fairs. So these are the 4-inch loofahs on ropes with a cute little bead on the end. So here are different stages of the loofahs for selling. I'll keep some long, I'll make some short, I'll do some little 1-inchers for soaps. This is the 1-inchers for soaps put into like a soap mold. These are my rose hip rose clay goat milk soap in a loofah. And there you go. There's my loofahs. So I really hope you got something out of this video and you learned something. And the most important thing I hope that you can take away from this is that loofah do not grow in the ocean. They grow on a vine and they're planted from a seed. And you too can grow them from a seed. And maybe you already are. I hope you learned something today. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe and come and learn some more. I hope you got a chance today to get outside, get your hands dirty, enjoy some sunshine. This is Christy from Sapphire Skies Farm saying goodbye.